Hey guys. So some of you may be aware of this little structure I built. It has little arms and things that stick off of it, so I can mount parts in here and then demonstrate on how to weld them. Put joints and such on the side so I could have camera mounts, light mounts, whatever else needs to mount to it. The only issue here is that this can't stay on my table all day. So I actually want to take and make a little storage space for it up underneath the table here to kind of give it a place to go, give it a home, and then I can take and pull it out and set it up whenever I need it.
To start here, guys, I took a piece of 1" by 1/8" flat stock. This was just a scrap piece I had laying around. I marked out every inch. You can see me here just carrying those marks over. There's the marks. You can see this was kind of an old piece. It's got a hole in it and such. But the marks will certainly work. Now I'm cutting these with every 2 inches. So I marked them with every 1, but I'm cutting them every 2. I'm going to use the other mark as more of alignment than anything. So I put the material here in the vise, obviously. Cutting it with the saw. Now I took the saw and actually turned down the speed on it because we're cutting through steel. So it's certainly not running full bore. Doing that just dulls the blades faster. So perfectly happy with the slightly slower speed, slightly longer amount of time to actually cut it, but the blades last substantially longer, so I'm not going to worry about it. Next here, I took and put each individual piece into the vise. Just to hit it with the file, kind of get the burrs off of it. I'm not going to take and show every single one of this. It's just the same thing 4 times. Just cleaning off the burrs. So I took and measured out a 1/2 inch on my caliper, and I'm going to use it to take and just scratch some lines into these pieces. Now, I couldn't for the life of me find my layout fluid. I found it now, but that didn't help me at the time. So I'm just going to use a Sharpie here to give me some contrast. I marked all the pieces, and then I took that caliper and just scribed some lines, one direction and the other direction, just to give me a center point here on that 1 inch side. And I just took and did this with all of them. Once I was done, I took and center punched each one of those marks. So I'm always really worried I'm going to take and do this off. So take a lot of care to try to hit them on. And it looks like that one I did pretty well. Again, I did this with all of them. Just took and punched each one. Actually, all turned out really nice. I was pretty happy with it. That one was a bit off. They all can't be perfect. Wanted to show you guys a trick here. So I need to drill these holes out to 3/8. So I took my step bit and then just sharpied up the 3/8 section so I knew exactly how deep I had to go. without having to worry that I went too far or didn't go far enough. I just took and bored these out. Now what's cool here is that the step bit, being a step bit, it allows me to chamfer these edges way quick. I don't have to switch to another chamfering bit. I took and I did this with every single one of them. Yep, that step bit just sure makes quick work of that. After that, I cut up some 1-inch square tube. I'm just marking out some 1-inch sections. These are going to be welded to the pieces of flat stock that we cut earlier. I'm just going to use my bandsaw again. The only issue with doing this is that those cuts did not turn out very straight. I mean, it's a bandsaw, so, you know, how straight are you expecting at that point? But you guys will definitely see how crooked these are when we get to actually tacking them up. Tell you, I tried for straight. I really did. Same as before, I took all these pieces and touched them all with the file just to get that burr off. I'll tell you guys, if you don't own a file, you should go to the store right now and buy one. These things are just great. Great for getting burrs off. Can't think of another thing off the top of my head, but certainly great at burrs. I cut out a piece of angle iron here, just 1 inch by 1/8 inch angle. Now, I'm only cutting a piece about 1 inch. I really didn't need to measure it this precisely. I actually should have cut it a little bit smaller. I was going for 1 inch just because I like the whole numbers. But you guys will see what this is for here in just a minute. Now we can't forget cleaning the burrs off here. I'm sure somebody's going to give me some crap for running a file back and forth across that piece of metal. But I'll tell you guys a bit of a secret. It's my file and I kind of do whatever I want with it. Well, it took some time, but we finally are getting to the interesting part. You guys can see kind of how these are going to go together. The angle iron there is kind of just to hold everything in place and keep it in alignment. You can see how much gap is in there. That's from that crookedness on the from the bandsaw. So I'm just kind of setting my vice grips, making sure that everything works properly and is in alignment. Then we'll take and put the piece of tubing on and a second set of vice grips to hold it in place. Now the piece of angle there, remember I only cut the one, so I'm not trying to weld on the piece of angle. All the angle's doing is keeping these two parts here, the flat stock and the square tube, 90 degrees from each other. Now, I'm sure the angle isn't perfectly 90 degrees, but it's not really that critical. It's close enough, it's small, it's easy to work with. You guys can see those humongous gaps in there. That's how far that bandsaw cut. out of square. I'm really not surprised by that. So that's really why I cut the piece of angle iron, was just so I knew that it was going to be so screwy when I went to put them together. I'm just doing a bit of TIG here, welding up that edge. I just took and flipped it over, obviously. I'm just going to take and weld that other side just the same as I did the first. Kind of filled in that wide gap on there. So that's one. I did stick the angle iron to it on the first one here. I had to put my gloves on just so I could take and break off that piece of angle. But that's it right there. Welded one side, welded the other. That's basically the whole part there. I took and did the same here with the other ones. But let's take and jump ahead and I'll show you guys how this all comes together. So here's the side of my table. We've got one of the little arms here. Just kind of getting an idea where it should go. I didn't really measure this at all. I was just kind of throwing it on there. Figured it's, not really that critical where it goes. Just took and center punched it to give me a mark so my drill bit doesn't move. Started with a small drill bit. I don't even know what size it is. It's just small. Just to get a hole through the steel. Then I switched over to a drill tap combo. I'll tell you guys, if you've never tried one of these, you should definitely do it. It's got a 5/16 bit on the first part of it. Then a 3/8 tap on the second part of it. So I can drill and tap with one drill. It actually works out really well. I use them all the time. I have some bolts here, put these on. 3/8 bolts, of course. About everything I have is 3/8. So just took and cleaned it off, stuck it in there, and tightened it up. And skip forward a bit in time here. I ended up putting all of them on this one leg. So I'm just putting the very last one on. What's funny is this is actually the same piece that you saw me put on for the first one, but I put another one in that spot. So I'm actually mounting the first one again. But whatever, it all works the same. Same drill bit, same drill tap combo. Guys, you should definitely pick up one of these. These are just wonderful. You just push that right through and There we go, tapped hole. Just that simple. So here it is all done. I got all my little parts and pieces, even the larger piece in there too. It's all taken, bolted on. I think it turned out pretty well.
Well, I got this thing put together. Put these little brackets in place. Now my little pieces hold in place. I even took and tapped a hole down here so I can hold the main arm here. Personally, I like to tighten these down a little bit so they don't fall off when I'm moving the table around. Since I do roll my table around every once in a while. Then I just took and drilled a hole in the back here so I can put the little wrench in there. There we go. That's simple. All right, we'll see you guys for the next one.